never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. It is a hump day Wednesday, so of course that means it's time for another weekly top 10 countdown. I do one each and every Wednesday here on the channel, and I've actually already got a request for next Wednesday. I got that request this past Monday night when I was doing my weekly podcast with my man JJ. Each and every Monday we discuss racing and wrestling. So if you have not yet subscribed to the Fanboys on YouTube, please do that as well. And make sure, if you are watching this video and you have not subscribed to this channel, you do that. It's easy, it's free, it takes about 3 seconds. But I've already got a request for next week because I already had this idea for today's top 10 countdown this past Sunday, and I was afraid that if I did the request that I got Monday night, I would forget about this one by next week. So I wanted to go ahead and do this one, and hopefully I won't forget about my requested top 10 countdown next week. But this is something I thought about on Sunday because me and my pastor at church were talking about superstitions, because he has a few of them that he actually believes in and does, but not any of the rest of them. And if you live in the South, or ever have lived in the South, or know someone that lives in the South, most Southerners are very superstitious. Now this is just top 10 overall superstitions, but I know a lot of people that watch sports, and no matter what sport it is, they are superstitious about that sport. If they watch their team play and they're wearing a certain pair of socks and their team loses, they'll never wear those socks again during the game. On the other hand, if they wear a certain pair of socks and the team wins, they will wear those socks every time that team plays until they lose. Same way with their underwear. Some people have a game day routine for football season, and they do the same routine each and every Saturday. And me personally, I have never been superstitious at all. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I've been in the South all my life, but I think it's all a bunch of crap. I've always thought that. But this is going to be top 10 superstitions, and I want to know how many of them, if any, do you believe are actually a real thing? How many of them do you actually do? And out of the 10, there's only one that I have never heard of, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But the top 10 superstitions comes to us courtesy of artsandculture.com. Number 10 is fingers crossed. Now, I don't know how many adults actually do this, but I know that a lot of kids, if they want something good to happen, you will see them cross their fingers. Number 9 is black cat, and that's one of the ones that my pastor said that he does. If he sees a black cat cross the road, he's putting that X on the windshield. I think that's a bunch of absolute rigmarole, hogwash. But I know a lot of people do actually believe that. Number 8 is Friday the 13th, and there are millions of people out there that actually dread every time the 13th day of the month falls on a Friday, because they have convinced themselves that every time we have a Friday the 13th, something bad is going to happen. So they go to bed Thursday night already dreading waking up the next morning, because they've already convinced themselves that something bad is going to happen. Number 7 is lucky horseshoe. I've heard of that one, read stories about it, but I don't personally know anybody that believes that one. But if that's the case, why wouldn't everybody just go out to your local sporting goods store or get on some website and just order a game of horseshoes? That way, everybody has a horseshoe in their house. Number 6, lucky pennies. And if you're one of the ones that actually believes that's true, I feel bad for you, because supposedly within about 10 or 12 years, the pennies will no longer exist. Before we talk about the top 5, let's recap numbers 10 through 6 all over again. Number 10, fingers crossed. Number 9, black cat. Number 8, Friday the 13th. Number 7, lucky horseshoe. And number 6, lucky pennies. And this is top 10 superstitions according to artsandculture.com. Number 5, step on a crack, break your mama's back. And honestly, I've heard of this, but until I was reading the article from artsandculture.com, I had no idea it was a superstition. I thought it was a game, because I can remember being in school when I was 5, 6, 7 years old and seeing kids playing a game where they were pretty much playing hopscotch on like a brick surface, and they would say, you step on a crack, break mama's back. So I just thought it was a game. I had no idea that it was actually a superstition. Number 4 is one that I know a lot of people believe, and that's a broken mirror. A lot of people believe that if you break a mirror, or if you walk by a broken mirror, you're going to have 7 years of bad luck. That's an absolute impossibility. There's no person in history of the time that's ever had 7 years of bad luck, but people still believe that. Number 3 is another one that's very, very common. That's walking under a ladder. But that's one of those that supposedly it's true, it exists, but people always say that it causes different things. I've heard that walking under a ladder causes bad luck. I've heard that it means you'll never get married. I've also heard that if somebody vacuums under your feet while you're sitting down, you'll never get married. Of course, that's not true, because it happened to me when I was growing up, and now I'm married, but people still believe that. That's not on this list, but I have heard that before. Number 2 is the one that I have never heard of, and that is throwing salt over your shoulder. I've never heard of that one in all my whole-born days. And number 1 shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I think number 1 is the one that everybody does, and that is knocking on wood. And I've seen many of people do that. If somebody's talking and they're bragging on something, whether it's something involving them or their kids, their grandkids, their neighbor, whatever it is, if it's good, they'll say it, and then they'll knock on wood, because supposedly if you say something good and you don't knock on wood, then it's going to backfire on you. That's a bunch of crap, but people do actually believe it. So if there are any of these on this list that you actually do or have done or know somebody that does them, please feel free to let me know. I always get a kick out of things like this because I don't believe any of it. And back to the sports conversation from earlier, I've been a sports fan for just about 30 years now, and in every sport that I watch, every team that I watch, I don't have any game day traditions. I don't have any game day superstitions. I don't even pay any attention to what I'm wearing on game day. It's just clothes to me. So if my team wins or loses, I can't come back the next day or the next week and say, well, I can't wear that again, or I'm going to wear that again because I don't even know what I wore. I don't pay attention to it. It's all a bunch of hogwash, but some people believe it. They sit in a certain chair. They sit in a certain direction. They do a certain thing. And I know a lot of people, especially in the South, that believe that you're supposed to eat collard greens, I believe it is, on New Year's Day, and it's supposed to give you money, and you're not supposed to cut grass on New Year's Day, and all kinds of stuff. And I have no idea where some of this stuff started, but you can go to artsandculture.com and read the top 10 superstitions. I believe they actually listed 15, but of course, since the channel's top 10, I did the top 10, but I'm pretty sure they actually listed 15. But all of them but one I've heard of. Throwing salt over your shoulder, I have never heard of. I have no idea if that's supposed to mean something good or something bad. Not a clue. If you know what that means, please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What has more letters than the alphabet? The post office. And that does it for today's Rev Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Rev Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.